Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of How to Move Abroad, a Getting Started Guide. Now in part 1, we talked about the practical parts of moving abroad. The first was choosing a country to live in, the second was researching visas, the third was organizing your finances, the fourth was choosing an apartment to live in, and the fifth was packing strategically. In this video, we're going to talk about the emotional side, the part that I absolutely love about this jump, this big move, this experience. Whether you realize it or not, this is going to change you. It is going to be a deeply personal experience and it will be transformative. So without further ado, let's get into it. In this week's checklist, we're going to start with the first, which is to understand your why. This is very important. It's going to require some thinking and reflection on your part, but you need to understand why you're doing this. Is it for career reasons? Is it for personal reasons? Is it for adventure? Do you need a fresh start? Did you just get out of a breakup? Whatever the reason is, figure out why you want to move abroad, and that will help you to better understand why you're making this jump, and it will set the tone for the rest of your experience. Now, this is not an experience for everyone, so it's very important that you figure out why it is that you want to do this and truly align with that reason. Key questions that you can ask yourself are, what are your key goals? What are you hoping to get from an experience like this? Do you know anyone who has done this, and have you seen positive impacts on their life, and could there also be positive impacts on yours? Think specifically about how a move like this could enrich your life. How could going to X place make your life better? Will it improve your overall well-being? Will it improve your work-life balance? Will it advance your career? Will it advance your studies? Will it help you to grow as a person? Will it help you to overcome fears? There's so many different reasons that someone can move abroad and so many different ways someone can change by living abroad. Figure out how you can be shaped by this experience. You can never predict how it will happen, but it helps to think about it in advance. Second item on the checklist, once you figured out and gotten clear on your why for leaving, then you can start to begin to think about how to navigate cultural differences. This is going to be a huge one. If you've only lived in the United States or wherever you're from for your entire life, you will run into these cultural barriers, and there will be many instances that you experience where you have to take a step back and think, wait, that's different, or wait, these people live differently than I'm used to. At first, it might be a little uncomfortable, but then you begin to see that there's not only one way to live life. Coming from the United States as an American, a lot of people, and I don't want to generalize here, tend to think that that way is the best way to live, or that the United States is the best country in the world, as if it was a competition. That is a long gone thought in my own mind, and I try my best not to think like that. I'm very fortunate to have come from the United States, and I feel very happy to be an American, but that is not the end-all be-all, and that is not the most important thing to me. The most important thing to me is human connection and learning from other people who are different from me. You can try and look up these cultural differences before you go to a country, but you're really not going to learn them until you actually experience them in person. And so it's nice to have an idea going into it, but put yourself out there when you first show up. It's going to be nerve-wracking, you're going to be scared, but you won't learn from these things and you won't truly get the benefit of living abroad unless you put yourself out there and make friends that are different from what you're used to. As you try to navigate these cultural experiences, chances are you're going to have to learn a new language. Unless the country that you're moving to has the same language as where you're coming from, then you will have to learn a new language, and it will be a huge influence on your experience. I love language. I speak 4 languages, I'm currently learning my 4th language, and for me, I've always viewed it as the door to a new world. If you learn a language of the place that you're living in, you truly get to form relationships and connect with the people that live in that country, and they're the ones that are going to show you their beautiful country. They're the ones that are going to change your experience and lead you down a path that you didn't even know existed, but you need the language. And so my suggestion to you is you can study a little bit beforehand. I'm not going to even recommend apps like Duolingo. I am not a fan of those apps that are all about gamification. I am all about putting yourself in uncomfortable situations where you're actually making mistakes, but actually learning from those experiences. There's so many beautiful aspects of language that are also cultural norms in themselves, words that don't exist in other languages. One beautiful thing that I have felt in learning multiple languages is that I have more ways to express myself, or I have more words to describe various feelings and emotions. You can't get that if you just stay put where you're at home in your comfortable state. As you begin to navigate language and these cultural differences, be aware and be respectful. Learn from me. When I first moved abroad, I was an idiot. I wasn't paying attention to how I was acting. I wasn't paying attention to the norms of the place that I was living in. I was disrespectful. I embarrassed myself, and I had to learn the hard way. Fortunately, the people around me were very forgiving, and I was able to get closer to those people as a result. But be very conscious and aware of how you're acting in a different country. Moving forward, the third part of this list will be to consider how moving abroad will affect your well-being. You absolutely need to understand the emotional impacts that it will have on you. As I already stated, this will change you, it will transform you, and you need to be prepared for that. Be open and vulnerable and willing to experience this change. A few things off the top of my head that you may experience and may struggle with are culture shock, all right? If you've never left the country that you've been in, if you've never lived in a country other than your own, you will experience culture shock. Things will be surprising and different to you. Once again, not everyone lives the way you're used to. You will get homesick at some point, right? You're attached to your family and friends. It's normal, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but that will happen. So you need to be prepared for that feeling. And then lastly, you're gonna need to adapt to new routines. Speaking from personal experience, this can be very challenging because if you uproot your life and you move to somewhere new, you're gonna have to reset all of your routines and your habits. Habits and routines are super important to me in my own life. When I travel, when I live abroad, it's usually one of the things I'm most focused on. So for example, if I'm traveling just for a week, I'll go find a gym wherever I'm traveling to, or I'll go find places that I can eat healthy, or whatever it is that I do at home, I try to keep doing in this new place. Even though it may require some extra effort and time to set those up, it's important that you carry those important habits and routines from wherever you're coming from to this new place so that your life doesn't feel like it's in shambles or that it's falling apart. Now, whether you're doing this alone, with a partner, with friends, whoever, it's important that you set up a support system. And you can do this in two ways. Set up a support system for people back home. Let people know that you're leaving, check in with them every so often, share your experiences, try to connect with them, even invite those people out to visit you and have that support system. The other way is to build your community in whatever place that you're going to be living in. Now, this is the beautiful part. You get to expand your network and your community, your friends and your family from abroad. And so by having these two groups, you set yourself up to be able to lean on other people. You set yourself up to be able to have an experience and to change alongside other people. And that's honestly one of the beautiful parts of this experience. There are expats in every country in the world. Find them, find other locals, and connect with them, become friends with them, and grow with them together. At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be about this person's from here and this person's from there. We're all humans here and we're all living this experience together. The first few months will definitely be challenging for you, but if you set up your support systems and you truly reflect on how it can affect your well-being and you put a lot of time and energy into your hobbies and your routines and your habits, you can rely on those things as forms of self-care and you don't have to worry about struggling so much. You can embrace the change. It will be challenging, there's no avoiding that, but embrace the change in a way that you're enjoying it and it's a good experience for you. On the checklist on how to move abroad is coping with being far away from friends and family. Now this inevitably will be very tough. This is one of the hardest parts for me. And after 10 years of living abroad, it has never gotten easier. But there are things that you can do to cope with it. First and foremost is just figure out ways to stay connected to the people that matter most to you. I tend to message people whenever I'm on planes, trains, cars, long rides, buses. It's a nice time to go through messages and respond to people and just catch up. If you have some time, call them up, see how they're doing, let them know about your experiences, maybe even create some plans together, but you have to stay connected and nurture those relationships. Next, you really gotta manage your expectations. Relationships can and will change, and this actually has nothing to do with you moving abroad. Even if your friends or in family are in the same country as you, relationships can and will change. They may be affected or influenced by your move abroad, but just be aware that they can and will change. I feel very lucky and blessed because two of my best friends and my parents have visited me everywhere I've lived in the world, with the exception of Brazil since I just moved here, but they will be coming. And that goes so far in my relationship with my parents and with my best friends because they actually can see where I'm living, and if I'm ever talking about my life, they can visualize it, and that goes much further than just trying to describe something to someone and they have no idea what you're talking about. And so I'm so incredibly grateful to my best friends and to my parents. Shout out to them. because they made the trek across the world to show me how much they care and to see what my life is like and for us to share new experiences together. As a result, we've gotten closer and we can now laugh and joke about all of these crazy experiences that we've had in the places that I've lived. Pro tip for you is to schedule a time of the week to call your family or friends and stick to it. I've been talking to my parents every Sunday night for the last 14 years, and that's just a part of my routine now. And I know that whatever happens during my week, no matter how far away I am from home, I know I'm going to be talking to my parents on Sunday night. Now, it's not perfect. Sometimes they're busy or sometimes I'm busy, but it's been pretty consistent for the last 14 years. Eventually, when you do move abroad and you form new friends in this new place that you're living in, you'll quickly realize that these new friends that you have become your family. You guys share this experience together. Maybe there are other expats and they also understand what you're going through because they're also far away from home. Absolute last step before you make the leap to live abroad is to embrace the change that will come from the place that you're living in. As I've lived abroad for 10 years now, I've really reflected on what it's been like to live so far away from home for so long and to call multiple places home all over the world, to have family and friends all over the world. And for me, it really is an amazing alternative to traveling and just doing trips for 2-3 weeks at a time. I really view this lifestyle that I live as slow traveling because it really gives me the time to connect to a place, to learn languages, to form long-lasting relationships, and to truly let a place shape me. My first tip to you is just to stay as open-minded as possible. And even if you don't consider yourself to be an open-minded person, you probably will be after you have an experience like living abroad. There are so many new experiences that you will have, so many ways of living, and so many things that you will see that will open your mind to the world and its beauty. Along the same lines, and another thing that I've realized by living abroad in foreign countries for so long is that it is an amazing way to change the filters through which you view the world. The way we're conditioned when we're young to view the world is based on family, it's based on school, it's based on religion, it's based on so many things. And unless you're intentional about examining those things or changing those things, you're gonna live the rest of your life with those same filters and see the world in the exact same way. It isn't until you force yourself outside of your comfort zone and you experience other ways of life and perspectives and viewing the world that your own can become molded and shaped in new ways. The person that I was when I was 23 and I left the United States is completely different than the person that I am now, the way I see the world, and I'm constantly learning. This will be a challenging experience. There are so many frustrating things about living in developing countries or just living abroad in general, and at times you will miss the comforts of home and the things that you're used to, but that's not the point. The point is to let go of those things and to watch yourself grow as a result of being able to deal with those things. I'm far from perfect of a person, but I am proud of the growth that I've done over the last 10 years, and I attribute it to all of these wild experiences that I've had living on different continents. None of this would have been possible if I didn't put myself in uncomfortable situations where I could truly grow and learn from these experiences and staying curious. I think this is why I haven't looked back or even considered moving back to the United States. I'm in this crazy environment where everything feels different to what I'm used to, and there's so many things that I can learn from, whether it's a language or people or how a place operates. I'm alive as I'm having to figure out these situations, whether it's having to go to a hospital or getting from point A to point B or having to get some kind of crazy document that doesn't even seem necessary. All of these situations that I found myself in, I've had to figure out, and as a result, I always come out on top and I feel way more capable, and it shapes me. All of these little things are shaping me into who I am today. I'll leave you with this. One of the reasons why I started this channel is because I feel like the life that I've built for myself and this path that I've forged for myself is a very unique one, and I've been able to learn so much from it, and I now want to share these lessons and experiences with all of you. I truly believe that a lot of the people that you will come across in your life are just existing and not living. Moving abroad is an amazing way for you to move from existing to actually living. You get to experience culture, you get to experience language, you get to experience all of these new relationships, and you get to experience something completely different than what you're used to. So if you're fearful about making the jump, if you're fearful about letting go of these things that you're attached to, or if you're fearful because you just have no idea what to expect, it's okay. Make the jump, and then the rest will figure itself out. You don't want to live your entire life and then think back to the time that you could have moved abroad. You want to live your entire life and smile back at the times that you moved to this country or that country and think about how it shaped you. I hope there was at least one thing you could get from this video or the previous video. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop me a line in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and good luck.